So Eric was pointing out I have a weird mannequin in my room. And I was trying to buy a mannequin from a yard sale, but nobody was occupying the yard sale.
You mean you set out to buy, you wanted you coveted a mannequin?
Yeah. And nobody was there, so I just stole it. So now I have a mannequin that's stolen in my room.
A hot mannequin.
Oh, but okay, so Eric, somebody said make something weird for your thumbnail. So I thought I could stab some pencils through a peach. You know? Be like, a peach, weird peach with pencils. You know, people would be like, what the hell is that? What is that? You know me, Eric.
Yeah, it's always looking for a gimmick.
My new name, Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle.
Charlie
okay.
Hustle.
I was going to ask what your handle is, because I kept wanting to say harmonica or a harmunculus or something.
But we are rolling. You got the intro, Eric?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh wait.
Good.
I think if I wear sillier hats.
Yeah. Wear that. All else fails, wear a silly hat.
People will be like, "Who's that handsome guy with that hat?"
And why is he making such a fool of himself?
Where
did you get that?
I got a bunch of hats on Goodwill. But you
on Goodwill? You mean
you
mean Goodwill online?
No, I went to Goodwill.
Oh.
This one might be
at Goodwill.
Yeah.
Well, now fine. That is a distinctive looking hat, I must say.
I gotta have it up a little so it can capture. Okay, ready?
Hello, we are Harmonti and Hardrada, and this is Mad Men of the Cybersphere, coming at you from the basement of Do or Die, East Dakota. We are truly, if nothing else, Vox Populi, the voice of the rabble. And I mean the rabble of the right and the left, right, B?
Oh, yeah. Fastest growing podcast on the internet. See, every time I move my
everybody
head,
knows that.
Yeah. Yes. Go on.
Well, today's topic is which of our two major political parties poses the greater threat to our democracy? It may come as a surprise to many of you that either party actually poses a threat to our democracy, but I think we got a real menace shaping up here. Brandon, a little while ago, I asked you if you still had faith in or still valued that noble but crumbling Western political experiment called democracy, and you assured me that you did.
Here's an example. Is when I put that in the title, what's the biggest threat to our democracy? I'm going to put democracy in the little the little speech marks.
Those are called scare quotes, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it in scare quotes too.
I don't believe in it anymore. It's fading.
When you say you don't believe in it, you mean you don't value it, or
I value it.
We're losing it.
We're losing it, I can't believe people don't see that. That scares me.
Oh, I think everybody sees it.
Really?
They just have very different ideas about who's responsible and what's causing it.
Well, we'll get into that, but I'm very curious as to who you think is responsible.
Well,
but I'll let you finish.
That shouldn't be any mystery to anybody either. If you've been following this podcast at all, I put the onus squarely on the Republican Party, which also known as the Party of Trump, which not only does not value democracy, but holds it in absolute contempt, I think. I can't remember any Trump Republican even using the word democracy recently, and I think that's because they're trying to wean us of it. Get us used to the idea that democracy is a silly, antiquated, tried and failed experiment, just like socialism. It looks to me like the only thing the Neo-Republican Party truly values now is raw, ugly power, which they will do anything they can think of, anything they think they can get away with to get more of.
While being censored completely off the internet.
Okay.
It's like that old quote. You ever heard, if you want to look who your oppressors are, look towards who you can't criticize. I watch a lot of BreadTube, and I just, like, okay, there's a comedian, Mark Maron. About a week ago, he was angrily just ranting to the camera, and Mark Maron goes, "Oh yeah, this is all the right-wing Republican machine." And I was like, really? A machine? The Republican machine? Like, if you look at every institution, and then you look at, like, schools, left-leaning. The mainstream media, 90% left-leaning, besides Fox News. And then you look at, like, colleges, the general, what's accepted in the workforce. You can't go to work and say that you're a Republican and start listing crime statistic based off of race. It's like, we have a left-wing machine, Eric. I can't believe you didn't see that.
What you're talking about there, these problems that you just cited, are about how unpopular the Republican Party has become, and how much criticism they draw. And, you know, and it's true, they're getting it from all quarters, and some of it may even be unfair or unjustified. But it's not because they lack power. They have plenty of power now. They've got things, I think, pretty firmly in their control. Okay. And nothing is ever enough for them. They want more.
Uh-huh.
It's you know, that there was one of the mantras of the neoconservative movement,
which is like Bush, right?
Yeah.
I try to explain things to teach people on the podcast, but go on.
Yeah. Well, the Republican Party has gone through several iterations here over the years, and there was a time when they were you know, a reasonably responsible and democratic institution. But do you remember Ronald Reagan, the sainted Ronald Reagan? He was president before you were even
very
born,
famous,
I think.
President.
Yeah, very famous. He's like the godfather of the new Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this little buzz phrase that he used that became quite of a sort of a signature Ronald Reagan quote. He said that the 10 or 11, you know, depending on how you word it, I guess, most terrifying words in the English language. Do you remember that?
What was it?
10 most terrifying words in the English language are, "Hi, I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
I love
You've
that
heard
quote.
that.
I believe that 100% that it's false. Yeah. Did you like Ronald Reagan? Were you a Reagan fan?
I was not a Ronald Reagan fan.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. He doesn't look so bad to me now.
I thought even
Trump
left-wingers liked him.
What?
I thought even the left-wingers thought he was...
Oh,
like, we used to go to an airport near here, and my dad would be like, "Oh, Ronald Reagan, there was a statue. Oh, what a great president." That's all I ever hear about Ronald Reagan. Great president. Great guy.
Well, I don't know where you're hearing that from. He was... In some ways, he was a great president in some respects. He was they called him the great communicator, because he could sit in front of a microphone and talk to the American people like nobody since FDR, and it was like sort of like Reagan's fireside chats, and he could get things across, and I don't know how much of it was actually ideas or principles, but he made it sound very principled, and he used very ringing phrases, patriotic phrases.
So he might have been the first, like, Hollywood president.
Yeah, he was sort of a Hollywood.
He was from movies.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was a movie star in the 40s.
So he was probably a great public speaker, probably second best to Hitler. It's hard. I'm not going to compare You're saying
Reagan.
Hitler's better.
What?
You were about to say Hitler's better. That's what it sounded like.
You thought I was about to say that?
Yeah. It sounded like you almost.
You mean a better orator?
Almost as good as Hitler. That's what it sounded.
As an orator?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. No, he was not in the same
As good
league
as
as Hitler. No.
Okay.
Come on, give Hitler his due. He was a spellbinding, an electrifying orator.
Real quick,
Hardly anybody orates like Hitler anymore because they don't want to sound like him, I guess.
Norm Macdonald had a joke where he said, I always heard that Hitler was a great public speaker. And, he's like a silver-tongued devil. But then he said, every time I see footage of the guy, he's just going, Schwein, Kleid, Schwein! I always thought that was a hilarious joke. Because it's true. Hitler was just like rambling on shit. Maybe you have to speak German. Anyway, I'm getting us off topic.
Yeah, what he said sounded better in German.
Yeah.
And it didn't make much difference even if you spoke German, because Hitler didn't communicate a lot. He was just trying to stir people up, and he was good at that. Well, getting back to our point. Do you know what Ronald Reagan meant by that when he said that, the 12 most
He meant that don't believe
words.
the lie that the government gives a crap about people. Just like in a post-2020 world, all these people are like, the government is my mommy and daddy. They're here to keep me safe. But meanwhile, the band keeps playing on, and we're losing more freedoms now than we've ever lost in a period of a year and a half. It really worries me that people...
In the last year and a half?
Last year and a half. I can't believe people can't see it, too. But yeah, so...
Well, I've always thought that you've overstated that somewhat, but what Reagan was doing, I think, was he was trying to lay the groundwork for stirring up resentment of a government that he and most conservatives thought was slipping away from them.
Yes.
Now,
and then Trump kind of reignited that.
My point is, it's a ruse. They are trying to. How shall I put this? The Republicans have always had this mantra about how much they hate government. We hate government. Government is evil.
Yes.
Damn its lying commie hide. And the reason they did that was because they were trying to rally the American people who do have an instinctive mistrust of government, as just as they do of doctors and other experts, and communicating to them, the common man, look, we're on your side because we hate government too.
Which it is a ruse.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a gimmick.
Just like Trump, like somebody pointed out that Donald Trump, he promised the world to everybody. He didn't follow through with a lot of it, He didn't follow through, and somebody made a good point. They said, which, by the way, I was going to list the number one threat to democracy is big tech censorship. Somebody pointed out that the whole 4 years Trump was in office, he did nothing to stop the tech censorship. And that's, to me, I think that is the number one problem. Way worse, and we'll get into that. So I thought we were going to kind of list what we thought were the greatest threats. What do you think is the greatest threat? And you just said
threat to what? To democracy?
Yeah, Republicans.
But
because here's the thing about Trump supporters, like, I don't know, Trump, he pulled in big rallies, but the guy was lambasted by all angles of the media machine, and to me, Trump supporters, they care about freedom, guns, freedom of speech, stuff like that. So to me, they're not a threat. I don't know.
Well,
then you look at the Democrat.
It's easy to express principles like that and to say, yeah, we're for this and we're for that. We're on your side. We too want you to have all the guns you want.
But then, like Joe Biden, I wanted to ask you what you thought about this Afghanistan thing.
Well,
because Joe Biden, it just feels like a couple months ago he was like, don't worry, certain things aren't going to be mandatory. And now it's starting to lean towards that. And it's like,
certain things
what I mean. I can't
no, I
say
don't
the
know.
word.
Certain things are going to be mandatory.
That used to not be mandatory.
Are
going to be mandatory.
The
vaccine.
The what?
The jab. We can't say the word.
Oh.
So it's like, if I were a Joe Biden supporter,
Well, you can't bring something like that up and then not.
everybody will know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
This thing that we all have to get soon, that everybody's getting, medical, it's like now it's starting to be mandatory, and I just can't believe that like Joe Biden has just like not delivered on anything really.
Wait a minute. What has he promised?
He promised, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be elected. Everything's gonna be fine. You're not gonna lose your freedoms. You're not gonna lose your guns. You're not gonna things that used to not be mandatory are gonna be mandatory. It's like, what a liar!
Wait a minute. Jesus. First of all, guns. You think you still think?
Yes, they're gonna take the guns.
They're gonna take our. You want to?
They're gonna, Eric.
When? Can you be a little specific here? Would you care to make a wager on this? It's going to happen within the next 3 years, right?
I always get into this argument, and everybody I argue with that says they're not going to take the guns, they have this blind faith in the old world politics, but we're not in the old world anymore. We're in the new world now. And anything could happen because everybody...
And it's just a free fire zone out there, and we're going to need our guns, right?
Dude, Australia, it's so bad in Australia. I've been emailing you stuff about Australia. I know you didn't watch it.
Well, you overwhelm me with all these.
I try not to. I always say...
I tried to be a little more conscientious about viewing them at first, but it just...
I always write a little
And it's always the same thing.
I email stuff to Eric, and I always write, don't worry, Eric, you don't have to watch this, but if you want me to... Get this, okay? My friend, who was like a drummer in this crappy garage band I was in, the other day I told him, I said, the military is occupying Australia right now to enforce down locks. I gotta flip it around because you can't say certain words on YouTube. They are introducing a social.
Oh.
They are introducing a social credit system, and now you have to have an app on your phone where the government can text you. You have to send them a picture of your face anytime the government requests it. And I told him about the military. And you know what he said? And I felt like strangling him.
Who? Biden?
No, my friend who I told. I was filling him in on the dystopian Australian stuff. And he said, well, if the military wasn't doing that, more people would get sick. So it's good they're doing it. I was like... I want to strangle you. Anybody, like, oh, you want the military to move into your country? I don't know how they did this to people, Eric. How did they brainwash people?
Well, I'm not real current on what's going on in Australia.
It's
but in any case,
it's not. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's not America.
Well, it isn't.
But this is the point
and we are talking about America.
Well, this is the point I want to make. It should concern people that basically every big country in the world is following a lot of things, and they call it lockstep. Like, the climate change thing is like China, America, New Zealand, Australia, they announced it all in the same day. It's like, that is weird. Every country seems to be following the same media lambast you with fear-mongering and shutdowns.
About the virus?
Yeah, and other stuff. It's going to be climate change soon. So that worries me. It's like, there's not a lot of diversity. Like this, yeah, Australia's worse right now, but like, a lot of these countries are doing very similar things, and that should worry everybody. And let me finish that point. Everybody says, oh, they can't take our guns away because the Constitution. Well, guess what? The Constitution is Swiss cheese now. And this was a big note I took. You know what the second biggest threat to democracy is? Is that colleges and now public schools, they're not even, they're teaching people Freud and psychology and science. They're just breeding activists now. Black Lives Matter, commie activists.
Well, I think finally you may have said something that I agree with. I am extremely alarmed about what's going on in our schools, especially our colleges and universities. Now, I don't have a lot of direct personal contact with that. Neither do you.
I do. Well, not contact, but a lot of videos are leaking online.
Yeah, through videos. Yeah, of course. Me too.
Of course, they get censored too. You got to go to Odyssey.
Well, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of very intense criticism of the woke culture that seems to be prevailing on university and college campuses.
Yep.
And it's horrifying. And that, too, is a threat to our democracy. I don't deny that.
And you know what worries me about that is, like, people like me and you, we're getting old, Eric. Like, we don't matter to the future. Because if they can brainwash the kids, all the Trump supporters in the world ain't going to be able to stop what's coming from these commies. That's what they are, commies.
Well, okay.
Well, just real quick, did you hear that some professor guy, I'm trying to pull up his name, Peter Boghossian, he quit a university today because he was saying that the wokeism is going nuts. And I saw a video, sorry, I'm not trying to talk too much, but I saw a video the other day, some little soy boy, freaking vegan, he was running a kids camp for kids, like little kids, and he was like, I just turned 5 little kids into communists.
I was a camp counselor for 1 week and turned an entire cabin of 13-year-olds into leftists. Here's how. It started on day 1 when the kids of their own volition decided to have an election to see who would be president of the cabin. Another kid who was weirdly obsessed with Russian history then asked if he could be Mikhail Gorbachev to the cabin, to which I said, I don't think so. You could be Karl Marx, though. I had exactly 1 book with me, The ABCs of Socialism. This kid read the entire book. Next day, another kid asked for it, and then another. By day 4, Karl Marx proposed that our cabin cheer be the communist cabin, where everyone is equal. And everyone agreed.
I gave them a book about Marxism. That's how you turn children into communists. And I'm like, at what point do we got to make these people... See, I can't say that on YouTube.
Can't say what?
That's a direct call to violence. But I'm just saying, like, these little Gen Z commie weirdo... You're turning kids into Marxists, and they think that they're cool? God, I hate them.
Well, one difference that we could be talking about here is that you're talking about what's going on in academia, in the schools, and in these stupid camps that they send kids to. And I don't know who would send their kids to a camp like that. I
don't think they know.
Well, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about... the Republicans are trying to subvert our democracy from inside. That's what I'm getting at here. This business about the Republicans trying to side with the little guy in his antipathy and this state of attention which exists between him and the government. It's a lie.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Even if it is a lie,
they don't believe that for a minute.
Oh, I'm sure they don't.
Don't believe these Republicans who tell you they hate government.
I think
the new Republican Party is a syndicate of lying, scheming dirtbags, and that buzz phrase is just another of their damn lies. They tell the comment, well, we've already covered that. Don't believe for a minute that Republicans love government, Brandon.
Here's the thing.
They especially love big, intrusive government. If they've got control of it, that's the kicker. Government is power, and they covet power like Bolsheviks.
But here's the thing. Even if it is that true, even if that is true, if Republicans and people like Trump are lying and making the people believe that they're against big government, I still think it's good to give your citizens the false belief that government isn't good. I think we need to
Even if it is a false belief?
Even if it is false.
How is that constructive?
We have to keep it alive, Eric.
We have to keep the lie alive just to keep people on their toes or something?
Yeah, because imagine if they disappeared. Because Democrats don't... I don't want to be one of those people that is like Ben Shapiro. The left. But like...
Don't you think you are?
See, I try not to be.
No, you fail.
These left-wingers... My biggest problem with left-wingers... Like, I watch a lot of bread tubers, and, so, like, left-wingers are typically, they hate homophobia, they hate racism, transphobia, anti-Semitism. All those things that's good. I think it's good. We should not have all these phobic people. But the worst part about these left-wingers, Eric, is they are so blindly loving of the government, and it scares me. Like, there's this one Antifa bread tuber I watch. He's like an Antifa guy, very pro-trans, all that, Black Lives Matter. And all last year, the left-wingers were saying, defund the police, abolish the police. I made a post on this guy's Reddit because I wanted to see what his fans thought. And I said, if the government starts mandating certain things, and you know what I'm talking about, medical things, I said, what should happen to the people that don't comply? And every single one of them said, we should put them under house arrest. We should shun them. We should ban them off of all platforms.
Who are these people again?
The left-wingers that support Black Lives Matter and defund the police.
Well,
so they only support it when a black guy gets killed. But it's so disingenuous. So they hate the police. They want to defund the police. But if a bunch of Republicans start fighting back against the government, they would love for the police to come in and arrest these people. How could somebody be that disingenuous with their politics? Like, we argued not too long ago. You said that Tucker Carlson was saying that people should be arrested for wearing masks. Remember that? You told me that?
Vaguely.
Well, the media was reporting Tucker Carlson says people should be arrested for wearing masks. And I was like, Tucker Carlson would never say that. So I looked into it. And Tucker Carlson, exactly what I thought, was using it as a point. He was using that to make a point. And I'm like, all these liberals...
What was his point?
He was trying to say that arresting people for not wearing it, imagine if the cards were flipped and we were arresting people for wearing it. So a lot of liberal left-wingers started sharing, Tucker Carlson, I can't believe he wants to arrest people for wearing face coverings. And I looked into it, and I'm like, that's a lie. The mainstream media is smearing Tucker Carlson. And here's the point I want to make. If Tucker Carlson did that, I would never watch him again. It's like, so the liberal people, they're so okay with media lying to make a point. And that's one thing I've noticed with left-wingers, is as long as their side is winning, they don't really care about the truth. A lot of these bread tubers literally say, I don't believe in objective truth. That's scary. And if anybody's wondering, because I'm trying to be more teacher-like, informative, objective truth, how would you describe objective truth there?
Objective truth?
It's like, it's true
I
no
would
matter
say
what.
It's true no matter what, no matter who believes it or doesn't believe it, I guess. And and as such, objective truth is not always discernible. There are a lot of things that we just don't know whether they're true or not. Mm-hmm. But there is still, I always believe that there is still an objective truth out there.
Right. So,
but
yeah.
Okay, all of this stuff that you're talking about is stuff that these are neuroses and psychoses that afflict people on both sides of the political spectrum. It's not just leftists who
I know.
employ these sordid, squalid, underhanded tactics you're talking about. It's the climate that we live in. We've become, both the right and the left have their extremes, and the extremes have sort of taken over on both sides.
You know why?
They have
the internet, but go on.
Okay, that's certainly, the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to do about that. We can't ban the internet.
I think social media was a bad idea.
Really?
Because now all you get is virtue signalers, low information voters that don't know anything.
Well, that's not all you get, but I mean, you certainly get a lot of that, and that's one of the hazards in a democracy which values the free exchange of ideas. Sooner or later, the nutbags just dominate. They take over.
The thing. I don't think there is a free exchange of ideas.
Oh, you don't?
No, because sometimes I go on the censored free speech YouTube websites like Odyssey, And I find these right-wingers, and I always check on YouTube to see if they're still on YouTube. A lot of them are banned. A lot of them. And I'm like, that is so unfair.
You're saying just the right-wingers are banned?
Yeah, left-wingers never get banned. That's why they're so arrogant and cocky. Because they know they got the whole mainstream media on their side. They just can't get banned. Which is like, on my YouTube channel, I'm constantly editing things to be cryptic. Because I'm like, oh, I can't talk about 50 things I want to talk about. Left-wingers don't have that problem. All they have to do is go, this guy's transphobic. That's what the... And I'm talking about the socialist left, Eric. I'm not talking about all left-wingers. So, what were we getting at? So both sides, you were saying. Both sides. And yes, there are conservatives.
There's a lot of this mendacious lunacy that it's just running free on both sides, and it's consuming us. It's taken us over, and what I worry about is that once we've reached a point like this, and in which so many viewpoints, including so many extreme viewpoints, can be so freely expressed. Once that genie is out of the bag, there's no going back. I don't know how we backpedal from any of this.
Well, you know what a big fear is I see from the socialist left? Is they say, so why is Antifa doing what they're doing? They're trying to shut down Ben Shapiro shows, going to college campuses, protesting dressed in black. Because they believe that if we let fascism get too big, then the fascist conservatives will turn the two-party government into a one-party, like Hitler thing. Which is, that is a concern. I'll give them that. So, say all of a sudden all these anti-Semites started coming out of the woodwork. Yeah.
They are out of the woodwork.
A lot of the right-wingers probably think, oh, my side is taking over. But they don't realize that you could have right-wing totalitarianism, just like communism, left-wing, It's like the polar opposites. There's Hitler was like the right, and then Trotsky or whatever, Soviet Union left or whatever the hell. So there's a lot to unpack there, Eric. Let's see what else we got. So besides the conservatives, what do you think is the second biggest threat? Or what is another big concern of yours?
Well, I just mentioned it. It's the nutty left.
The nutty left too.
But I would say one of the differences between the nut left and the nut right is that they prevail in different milieus. The left prevails mainly in academia and in show business, I would say.
Yes.
What I'm so concerned about, as far as why I believe the Republicans are the biggest threat to our democracy, is they're working on our democracy from the inside under the guise of hating government. They don't hate government. They love big government. They love big intrusive government as long as they've got control of it. That's the thing. And they right now, I mean, look at how they're trying to completely take over and emasculate the electoral process in this country. I think there really is an effort, a massive, concerted, organized effort to undermine our electoral system, and it's pretty clear that they're even being pretty open about it, very crass about it. They deny it, but it's like they don't even care whether people believe them or not. They're on a roll here where they're trying to undermine the electoral process.
I think that it has become so dystopian now, and it's not that bad in America yet. It's not like we're Australia yet, but I think it's getting so bad that maybe they have a point. Maybe we should undermine democracy, because look what democracy's getting us. That's why I don't even believe in it. because I don't believe people have a say anymore.
Well, then you are losing faith in it.
I am
You're
losing faith in it.
faith in it as a principle.
Yeah, just because, like, Kamala Harris, like, witch cackling in every interview, and, like, you know my theories, Eric. I think we're going to head towards a social credit system. That, to me, is the scariest thing that could happen in the world, because once you're in it, you can't get out of it. So, if there ever was an excuse to bring out the guns and start occupying cities, it's because of that. And would you be against that? Say the government started getting way more dystopian than it is now. Would you say, okay, it's time to bring out the militias?
Well, things can always get so bad, theoretically, that it might be time to revolt,
But that's the thing. If you're watching the mainstream media, you're never going to get the truth, Eric. You're never going to get it. The mainstream media is
Where do I go to get the truth? Tucker Carlson?
Well, I think Tucker Carlson is speaking a lot of sense right now. I never disagree with Tucker. Like, I never disagree
You never
with
seem
him.
to.
And, like, but he's controlled opposition, which is like, they just want to have Fox News to make it look like, oh, okay, yeah, there's an anti-government news station. I think you got to go on YouTube. You got to go on the internet.
I'm on YouTube constantly.
But I don't know what you're watching, because on this podcast, you and I are from two different worlds almost. Like, I'm not getting the information you're getting, you're not getting the information I'm getting. So I would suggest watching, I don't know, I watch a lot of BreadTube, I watch a lot of left wing. Maybe you should start watching right wing a little more.
Well, maybe so.
Bill Maher, you watch Bill Maher? Did you see that
Sure.
debate? Ben Shapiro debated the black guy about critical race. Did you see that? That was
No.
it was like a month ago. It was like a really famous debate.
Oh.
Bill Maher's cool. I keep watching him. You know who I'm getting sick of, though? I am getting so sick of Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Steven Crowder. These conservatives, like, it's getting to the point where, like, you watch a Ben Shapiro video and he's like, oh, look at what the left is doing now. The left. It's like, yeah, okay, are you going to do anything about it? You know what I mean?
You mean he just whines and complains? He doesn't
That's
have
all.
any prescriptions?
He whines and complains for money. And it's like, it's good that he's highlighting these things, but a lot of these, like, syndicated conservatives, they're just starting to sound like whiny babies. They're only talking about the surface level problems, when of course there's a lot of underlying problems. And it's like, yeah, like, I think it's time we enter a hot civil war.
How are we going to divide up exactly between who and who exactly? And you said a hot civil war. You mean a free exchange of fire?
Well, it doesn't have to have fire, does it? A civil war?
Well, you said a hot civil war. I'm asking you to define that term.
I think.
What does that mean?
I think we need to stop complaining. I'm sick of the Ben Shapiros. I'm sick of the left wingers. It's getting to the point now where we need to take action, and nobody seems to be doing it, including myself.
Well, what kind of action would you like to see taken?
Protesting doesn't work. It's not, unless you're Black Lives Matter. I guess whatever.
Well, what do you think they've accomplished for themselves?
Oh, nothing. All they did was divide the country and make people hate black people more. And trust me, Eric, racism is alive and well because of George Floyd. Because people that weren't racist in 2019, they are now, and it's a lot of them. And I think it was by design. Because divide and conquer. But protesting does not work. Peaceful non-compliance works, I think. That's the best thing you can do. Is, I'm not going to do what you're going to tell me to do. I think that's the only way we can do it. And I think I've done a good share, I've been battling people in comment sections all day, making YouTube videos, I've done my piece.
What do you think about this? This may seem slightly off topic, but what do you think is going on with this? With what Governor Abbott of Texas pulled off down there, the abortion thing.
The abortion thing.
The abortion thing.
What are the quick details? Like,
Well,
I know passed a law where like it's harder to abort?
Well, a lot of conservative states have done that. They've done everything. The right to an abortion is technically ostensibly the law of the land. It's enshrined in the Constitution now.
Right.
Which means that, again, technically, that anybody who wants an abortion should be able to get an abortion in America. And of course, there's very stiff resistance to abortions across the board by real hardcore conservatives, mostly evangelicals. And evangelicals, and this is another case in point, evangelicals and hardcore conservatives like that have tremendous power and sway in certain states mostly through the Bible Belt. And many of these states that are controlled by conservative governorships and attorneys general and that sort of thing are making it increasingly difficult to get an abortion that the effect is pretty much the same as if it was outlawed.
I think it's good.
You think that's good?
Yeah, because in the 80s and 90s, the abortion argument was more innocent. The left-wingers...
When did it lose its innocence?
Well, because now young women, they want to abort. They're celebrating abortions.
Well, if a lot of women feel they need an abortion, a lot of women with unwanted pregnancies naturally want abortions.
Well, they need to be smarter.
That hasn't changed.
And use protection.
I agree with that. I even agree with a common conservative complaint about a lot of these women. They used to say that there are women who use abortion as birth control. And I don't doubt that. I'm sure that's true. There are a lot of very irresponsible women out there getting pregnant.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you, would you want such a woman to be a mother?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think if you become pregnant by accident,
sure?
You should just stand up.
You should just stand.
Take charge.
Well, there's all kinds of things you should do. There are things you should have done in the first place that they didn't do.
Well, here's the argument.
They're not responsible enough to be mothers.
Well, they need to get in line and use protection and then become responsible.
They should become more responsible. What if that ain't going to happen?
Here, a lot of people make the argument, when you get an abortion, you're just killing cells or whatever, Like, oh, you're not really killing a baby. Well, what you are doing is you are making a baby that could have been a baby, not a baby. So it's murder. You're murdering babies. And here's the problem. Some women should, of course, my body, my choice, which doesn't seem to exist anymore because now it's our body, their control with other mandate stuff. But, my body, my choice. It used to be that, but now look, the medical freaking fat government is starting, oh, it's not your body. You have to get 20 boosters or whatever. Boosters. Well, I'm addicted to boosters. I've been getting the booster every week. I just go in there like, give me that booster. But, but here's the thing, is these women are celebrating abortions and they're making these TikTok videos going, I already scheduled my abortion. It's like, you're disgusting. You disgust me. Oh, you're going to abort a baby? Why? Because you want to be a working woman in the working world? Which I'm all for. Do whatever you want. I'm a libertarian. Women should be able to become lawyers.
Libertarian, except in the case of abortion.
Yes.
Don't you think pure libertarianism would make abortion available to whoever feels they need one?
Maybe they should.
And why shouldn't it be my body, my choice?
Maybe they shouldn't make laws, but we need to stop incentivizing these women to be proud of killing babies.
Jesus Christ, Brandon. I don't know where you come up with things like that.
Oh my God, guys, I'm freaking out. What am I gonna do? Just kidding, I already scheduled the appointment. I am what conservatives fear! How do you feel, Ashley?
That's right-wing bullshit. Women do not go around, there could conceivably be women who feel that way. I don't know why any woman would. Abortion is, pregnancies and abortions are very serious matters. And not all women are as serious about that as they ought to be. But nobody is celebrating the abortion itself. They're celebrating their right to get one if they feel they need one.
Yes, in the 90s. But
no,
now,
they still are.
At abortion rallies...
Who is celebrating abortion itself?
Watch a video of an abortion rally in the past 3 years. They are literally like, yeah, I want to kill that baby. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, f*** you.
They are, Eric. You have not seen what I've seen.
I don't believe you.
You have not seen what I've seen.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
They are priming, I guess colleges are doing this. They're priming young women. They are becoming so feminist that they're like, I'm just going to go sleep around on Tinder, Tinder app where they hook up. And then they're like, screw it, I won't use protection. I won't be on birth control. I'll just have an abortion. Which, by the way, is hurting your body. And these women might not even know yet that maybe if they do have the kid, maybe they'll find a lot of meaning and purpose in their life. They're too young to be making such
That's a pretty big decision. Maybe, pal.
I used to be pro-choice, Eric, and I didn't know why. I was like, why?
Because you were a libertarian. Could that be it?
I'm a libertarian in the sense that the government...
Yeah, you're a libertarian in very selective sense, which doesn't make you much of a libertarian.
The government shouldn't outlaw it, but we should actively be promoting that being a mother is good. Having a baby is good.
It's not good for everybody, Brandon.
Well, that's the thing. I saw a YouTube video, some left-bred tuber guy. He was making fun of a Christian movie against abortion. And I just left a comment. I wrote, why do you want to abort so bad? Why do you people want to abort so bad? And somebody wrote that. They said, because not everybody's ready to be a parent. No, they don't want to be a parent. It's like, okay, well, that sounds like what a child would do. Oh, I don't want to be a parent, but I sleep around. Don't wear protection. And it's the guy's fault, too.
Yeah, it is the guy's fault. They're pretty much out of the picture here. Usually they get knock some woman up and then they move on, and then the woman is and look, I just said that there are a lot of women who behave very irresponsibly this way. I think if they're going through abortion after abortion, if they are in fact using it as birth control, as far as I'm concerned, they can just tie their damn tubes.
Yep.
But that's not very libertarian, is it?
Well, another thing is, like I have a friend, she's very left-leaning, and she just had a baby, and she said, I shouldn't have had the baby because climate change. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, because she's like, I don't know if there's going to be a planet in 10 years. And I was like, that's true. A lot of these institutions and the media is teaching these people don't have kids because climate change, which is like, okay.
I've never heard that.
You never heard that?
No.
So most women that I have talked to who have had abortions at the age of 17, 18, which you make a good point, maybe they're too young, they made a mistake, they had to get an abortion. Most of them say, I think about it every day. I think about the abortion.
Think about the child that they aborted?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Well, everybody makes mistakes. You can make that mistake too. But but that's not the case with every woman who has an abortion, is it? Most women who have them say that they regret that it was necessary in their lives at that time, and they may even want to try again later to have to bring another life into the world. But at the time, it was impossible for them. And there are any number of reasons why women find the prospect of bringing an unwanted pregnancy to term. In some cases, what about rape and incest?
That never happens. It barely ever happens.
Excuse me? Eric, never happens?
It does happen. But if you look into the amount of times a woman is raped and then has the baby, it does not happen that much. I bet you that out of all the pregnancies and whatever in the past 20 years, I literally bet you there's been less than 100 rape baby cases.
All I'm saying is that when a woman is raped, and somebody even some right-winger even once coined the term legitimate rape. It's a legitimate rape, by which he apparently meant a real violent or otherwise forcible rape. It does happen, and there's no reason why a woman, and sometimes it's done by a family member.
We'll make that exception then.
Well, if you got it, if you're gonna, so you're gonna allow exceptions.
Yeah, if a girl...
Well, okay, in places like Texas, there are no exceptions. That's one of the charming features of this law that they recently passed there. There are no exceptions for rape or incest.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that that abortion is that big of a freaking hot button political debate topic.
Oh, no?
A lot of the things that people think are important are not that important. Like, why is...
I don't understand what you mean by that. It's one of the most hot, it's one of the most controversial and emotional issues of our time.
I think it's very inconsequential. I think it allows for nice heated debates. A lot of people get very upset over the abortion debate. I'm more interested in things that affect everybody as a whole.
I see.
And it's kind of like Black Lives Matter with the police violence. They are hyper-focused on these small incidents where a white cop kills a black guy. That's their excuse for, oh my God, we have a tyrannical police. It sucks whenever anybody gets killed by a cop. I'm more interested in giving cops too much authority to pull you over for no reason, to not give you the Fifth Amendment, to not, what is it called, right to search or whatever. Those are the things that come down on our civil liberties. For me, stuff like that is super important. It affects everybody, and it's going to lead to a downward trajectory if we let the government have too much power. With the abortion debate, I think it's just clickbait. Everybody loves to watch abortion debates, and it's like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Which, here's my solution. We should start ranking things by importance, you know? Like, oh, we'll get to that later. Like, but for now, let's worry about, allowing businesses to be open. Let's not let the police have too much authority, because they have so much now. We should do a whole episode on it. Let's make sure they're not banning stuff from the internet, because the internet is free speech, and we need to make sure that everybody gets a voice. Can you see how that's the most important thing to me? Those things are very important, right? To democracy.
Well, I don't deny that they're important, but I don't see any this idea of ranking various offenses and issues and problems by importance is a bizarre idea. We should be able to handle more than one issue at a time.
Well, the media, the mainstream media, and people like Joe Biden and Trump, they never seem to take these issues by the bootstraps. Like, okay, here's the problem. This is our solution. This is what you, the people, can do to help. It's always just kind of just blind. There's a problem, fear, problem. And there never seems to be any real debates or stuff we could do about it. Eric, I got this real bad. So what were we talking about? We had a very heated abortion debate, which I'm going to clip, by the way.
Which you're going to what?
I'm going to clip that.
Oh yeah? You're gonna censor us?
No, I'm going to make a clip of it. Like a separate standalone clip.
Oh.
Let's see. So we covered a lot. Did you hear they removed the Robert E. Lee statue today?
Yeah.
Who voted on that?
I don't know. It was. I heard a very cursory report on the news.
Oldest trick in the commie playbook. Doesn't that worry you though? Like they're taking down statues? I don't give a crap how bad the guy was. I don't even believe the Civil War was over slavery, to be honest. I don't think it was. I think that's what the history books rewrote, because they were like,
Well,
have you ever heard that theory?
Yeah, of course I've heard it, and I understand it. There's something to it. At the time, slavery was not the most important issue. It wasn't even that important as far as Lincoln was concerned. his principal concern was the dissolution of the Union. He was willing to go to war with our own countrymen to preserve the Union. He did abhor slavery, and there were a lot of people in the North who abhorred it. And it was a issue. It wasn't, I don't know. I mean, it seems like the central issue today when you look back on it, and in the terms that we think about such things now, because it was a very high-minded issue, or it is to us. But no, I know that
now
at
they're
the
saying
time,
it's all about slavery.
no, nobody says it's all about slavery.
I don't know much about it.
They may be overemphasizing the slavery aspect of it, but everybody knows it wasn't all about slavery. You know, on the other side of it, these people who still harbor these feelings for the Southern cause, the Confederacy. You know, they say they denied that they completely deny that it had anything to do with slavery.
I might believe them. I don't know.
You might?
I don't know.
On what basis?
Maybe they were a bunch of libertarians who didn't want the government to dictate everything of their life.
That's the way they put it. Those are the kinds of terms that they use when they talk about it. They said it wasn't about slavery. It was
Don't
don't tread on me. It was about the government overreaching and exercising too much power, government interfering with the Southern way of life. That's what a lot of them say. It was about the Southern way of life. Well, Jesus. What did the Southern way of life consist of?
Well, here's the thing. With all the tech censorship going on and the removal of statues, if we had a civil war right now, whoever the victor is would just write that people like me were like white supremacists, slavery wanters. Because that's what happens. Victors write the history. So it's scary to think if we are approaching a cold or hot civil war, the way the mainstream media is acting right now, I know they would call I'm not a Republican or a conservative. They would just label all the anti-government people and say that we loved that George Floyd died, and they would, all that.
Well, that's what they would say if they were the ones who won. They won't necessarily be the ones who win.
Well, you're saying that if the right won?
Yeah, the right one.
But I'm under the impression that people on the right that I've noticed seem to be more honest. They speak from the heart, and they want a dialogue. Left-wingers are more interested in, they pick their side, and they will defend their side no matter what. And
well, that's a very broad statement, and you may even be right. I don't know. There are more people involved in these discussions than either you or I can keep complete track of. Well, this whole thing is just, it's out of control. I don't know what to believe anymore.
I don't either. I went to the emergency room yesterday, and I was overhearing these people talking, and they were like, the Sturgis motorcycle event every year?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, wow, Sturgis got together a month ago, and there was a huge outbreak. And they were like, oh, man, the government should have stepped in and shut that down. I'm like, why are people begging for authoritarian government? It blows my mind.
Well,
Tribalism, that's another one. That's a huge threat to democracy.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there.
And will you admit, people on the right tend to be more individualistic?
No.
I don't think they're as tribal. Some of them are.
You don't think they're as tribal?
I think that everybody who's into politics should watch their opponent's side more than they watch their side.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We
should
I would
teach
agree
that
with
in
that.
schools too. We should have a class that talks about, like debate class, like both sides. But no. Instead, we got a bunch of Marxist professors teaching kids that whiteness.
Well, to the extent that that's what's actually going on, I find that quite alarming.
You know what a huge threat to democracy is?
Oh, it's
whiteness.
Huh?
Whiteness. Damn whiteness. Damn whiteness.
Whiteness.
Freaking white people oppressing everybody. Those bastard whites. Hate them. I hate them. Hate my own race. Eric, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
We've been like, I'm tired too, man. Oh, Eric,
What?
look. I got this rash on my foot. You see that? See that rash?
It's
worrying me.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well,
starting to itch really bad.
so what are you going to do about it?
I'm probably going to go to the doctor, man.
Well, there's not much else you can do.
Yeah. I usually have good skin. I don't burn.
Is this connected with your thyroid condition?
Apparently my thyroid is fine. The doctor called me. You know what was happening? I was taking Benadryl every night for a year, and that was making me tired all the time, so I quit the Benadryl. Ah, yeah. So, Eric, I think we agreed a lot in this episode. You and I both agree, abortion? Get it out of here, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't know I don't even know what you mean by that. Get abortion out of here, or what? What does that mean?
We should take abortion and just sort of make it go away. I think we
Well,
both agreed. We both agreed. Anyway, Eric, who are we?
I don't know who
Madmen
Madmen of the
of the cybersphere.
cybersphere, and not everybody can make that claim.
Yes, we are the best podcast on the internet, and listen to my freaking hat jingle. Yeah. All right, fellas.
Okay.